All right, let's see. Test. We need to make sure that audio's working.
Testing.
And we're going to be like leaning down, talking into it.
Like we're going to talk like this. Hi.
Yeah, anyway, I'm Lonnie.
I'm Mark.
And this is the newest edition of UNN Comic Book Malarkey, brought to you by Infinity Flux out of Hickson, Tennessee.
Right here in Hickson, Tennessee.
Yep, up here in Hickson. And yeah, we had, like, the reason you've not seen us in a little while is because
Lonnie's technical issues kicked in.
2 weeks ago,
yeah.
2.5, 3 weeks ago, we sat down and recorded a whole pile of content. It was like, 4 videos?
Yeah.
And I scheduled them all out, and the first one published, and I got on there, was like, yeah, I'm going to watch me some comic book malarkey, watch my cell phone video. So I hit the play button, and it sounded like we were talking like this. Just whisper, and I was,
We were talking a little lower last time, though.
Why?
I don't know. I think there was because there was a lot of people here.
No, this was just straight up. Like, it sounded like we had the microphone, like, way down there.
Okay.
And we were turned around talking to the wall on top of that. So, but no, yeah, so here we are back after about a month absence.
We know you've missed us.
Yeah, absolutely. If they haven't, there's something wrong.
Lord knows what our crazy minds have come up with in the time we've been gone.
But this one, this has been at your urging. You've been like, ever since we've started working together here at the channel, you've been trying to get me to read this.
I got him to read it.
Beta Ray Bill, first appearance. Is it actually called the Ballad of Beta Ray Bill?
Anytime when they first published this story as a graphic novel, they published it as the Ballad of Beta Ray Bill.
Okay.
And I think it's like, that's actually the title of the story arc too, I think. But yeah, that's what they called it at first, was the Ballad of Beta Ray Bill. And the first time they published it as a group, so it was one of the cool things.
This was like back when Thor was Donald Blake.
Correct.
And he would, see, I didn't know anything about this. I knew on occasion, you know, he was like a, you know, mild-mannered doctor. It was kind of like a Superman Clark Kent thing. But he actually did transform.
They even make fun of that in this.
Well, he was actually transformed into a regular human. Like, he didn't have powers or anything.
Yep.
And I didn't know anything about this. I knew that he had done it way back when, but I didn't know the specifics as to why. But apparently it was like a lesson taught by Odin, you know.
To teach him humility.
Yeah, teach him humility. So,
because Thor gets cocky every now and then.
That was actually cool. And you see him actually kind of yearning for regular life as a everyday human, you know, doing his thing. And like Nick Fury pops up, and I honestly, going into this, I didn't expect to see Nick Fury in this. It's just, I don't know why. Maybe I just don't expect to see Nick Fury pop up in a Thor book out of the blue.
It was kind of a surprise. So this was Walt Simonson's first run on Thor. So if you ever hear people talk about what is the best run on Thor, a lot of people will agree that Walt's run was the best run on Thor.
And this was
it started with this.
This was after Apocalypse.
No, this is way before Apocalypse.
Sure.
I think. Well, I don't know. I'd have to look at the timeline, and right now I don't have a signal on my phone, so I can't check it. This came out originally in, when did this come out originally? Is this going to have the original
Apocalypse
date?
was 1986.
86?
Yeah.
This was...
Should be in the very front.
Yeah. Hang on.
Like the very, very front.
Right here, I got it. Well, this has got the 2013 copyright.
Boo!
Yeah, when did this come out? It was when he first started, whenever Simon... no, not 1895. That would not be right. 1965, Trust in the Gods, Stan and Jack, 2-year run on Thor.
Wow.
Yeah, he had a 2-year run on it. It was...
It's like all them, you know, the first appearance, the date, just completely...
Collecting Thor 1966, which the volume started in 1966, issues 337 through 345.
Oh, we're looking, I think this was like very early 90s.
Right.
Like in the neighborhood of like when Deadpool first popped up.
Oh, no, it was way before Deadpool.
Oh, never mind. No. This, the comics were 60 cents.
Yeah.
So this had to have been mid-80s.
It was really early, and like I said, it was the first
It was before
run.
Apocalypse, 1983.
There you go. Hey, look at you.
5/10/83, the date on the actual art.
So, Simonson's first run, and the first thing he did was he wanted to. He's the one that really played with the whole "whosoever be worthy" thing,
Okay.
because he wanted to create another character that was worthy of the hammer, and he was like, he's going to look like a monster, and then hilarity ensues.
Well, it was like a. I don't know, man. Like I still, I'm not a huge fan of the character. I don't. I can kind of see why you are, but I think it would have been different. Did you? How long have you been a Beta Ray Bill fan?
Since the first time I read this story, which with that being in '85 was probably right around '85, '86 when I read it.
Okay, so it's fairly new.
Yeah.
I can understand how somebody reading that as a new story could be interested, because the concept was fresh and everything, and it was like, because Jubilee was still a new character whenever I became a Jubilee fan. But if I was to come in now without the backstory and everything else, I was like, eh. But he actually.
Did you actually just say that about Jubilee? Are we going to have to cast you out for blasphemy?
No. I mean, it's just
I'm impressed.
I can understand why the hate, because there are people that don't like Beta Ray Bill.
You included.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't hate him anymore. I accept Beta Ray Bill.
There we go. And like I said, I didn't want you to read it because I wanted you to be like, oh, I want you to see, this character. I want you to fall in love with this character. I wanted you to see that you had gotten all this negativity from this other person mentioning it all the time, and I was just wanting you to be able to read it and experience it for yourself without having that outside influence.
He just, I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that he looks like a horse for some reason. It just makes me.
It's the equine thunder god.
Yeah. I mean, interesting. But I will say that
that's why Sif likes him better than she likes Thor, because he's hung like a horse.
He's a very, very underutilized character, and I've actually heard kind of, sort of some rumor that he might be popping up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at some point soon.
If he pops up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you're going to need to give me a towel. Because I've been chomping at the bit. Like I really seriously think that after they do Thor Ragnarok, the next Thor movie needs to be the Ballad of Beta Ray Bill. This story in and of itself, I think, would make a good movie.
Tell me this. No, this is my prediction. This is just, I have nothing to go on. After credits scene in Thor Ragnarok, Beta Ray Bill.
You will hear me scream from wherever you are. You will hear me scream like a fanboy, because, like I said, since they started doing it, and especially when they mentioned the collector and everything, because there were, if you look at the for Thor Dark World, there was concept art for the Corbinite race, which is his race.
Never seen it.
It was. I'll have to get it to you and show it to you. But there was concept art.
I'm talking about. I've never seen.
You've never seen Dark World.
Not all the way through.
Okay. So there was supposedly concept art, and there was supposedly a couple of Corbinites in the background with all the different aliens that they were playing with. So when they said that there were Corbinites in Dark World, I was like, okay, that's your chance. Come on, let's go. And so far, it's not come to anything. But I really, if your prediction is right, I will worship at your feet on camera. I will actually bow before you on camera,
work it down,
and say that I'm not worthy.
Well,
and
Thor's
that your
coming out in what, November?
Ragnarok comes out, here in a couple of months. I think November is right because it comes out near my birthday.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down with it. Because he would have to have at least. He didn't take part in the Infinity War storyline, did he?
He did not.
Okay. So
that was a point in time when Thor was actually bound to another human being named Eric Masterson.
Okay.
Which is another.
Any relation to Alicia?
No.
Okay.
Not Alicia Masters. Masterson.
Oh, never mind. I don't know what I was thinking. But okay, so we've got
Nick Fury pops up. Sorry, we went way off track.
Yeah, we
from
did.
Where you were.
This story basically, they're like, oh, we got this ship headed towards Earth.
It's eating suns.
Yeah, and
to power itself.
Thor is sent to investigate. He pops up out of nowhere. Beta Ray Bill appears. I'm going to kill you.
Well,
and I didn't know that he was a villain to begin with until I read.
But he
Unworthy
wasn't a
Thor.
villain. That's just it.
Well,
he wasn't a villain.
He was misunderstood like Magneto.
No, he's not even that misunderstood like Magneto. So what you left out is the backstory. So Beta Ray Bill is the guardian of the fleet for his race. They had to leave their world because Surtur, the Norse god of fire, is using their son to forge a new sword. And so they leave the burning galaxy looking for a new place. Beta reveals their champion. He won gladiatorial arenas. He is their champion. And so when Thor shows up, since he's Asgardian and Suitor is an Asgardian god of fire, the ship registers his energy signature as being a demon.
Yeah.
Because he thinks that Thor is one of the demons. So of course the ship starts attacking. When Thor starts beating the ship wakes up the Guardian. And the Guardian beats Thor's ass. Just beats him down.
Oh, they show on several occasions that he is a better fighter than Thor by far, in like 3 different occasions during the story.
Yep.
He beats him in unarmed combat. He beats him at the ship.
And he beats him when they when Odin exiles him to the trial for Mjolnir. Whoever wins this fight, this battle to the death, gets Mjolnir.
That was what it was, unarmed combat.
Yeah.
That was and that was something else. I mean, they took each other to their limit, but overall, Beta Ray Bill's a better combatant than Thor. When you get down to it. But I mean, overall, it was a really good story. And just full disclosure, I only read to the point where Stormbreaker is forged and they go off to battle, their common enemy.
Right.
And so, but that was good. Like, that was really the meat of the story, the origin story, and really taught me about the character. And like in Unworthy Thor, that we had
we've
covered
done
a couple
previously.
months ago,
We're going backwards.
he had mentioned that they were once enemies, and I was like, okay. So I went into this knowing that, and I saw it, and I was like, dang, that was pretty neat how they kind of played that out, because he's a very honorable being anyway, because he still didn't feel right about taking the hammer from Thor, even though he had beat him.
He even said that because like at the end of that battle, Odin's like, you've won, kill him and the hammer's yours. And Bill's like, no, if I have to kill someone to get a weapon to defend my people, I'm not worthy of it.
Yeah.
And the hammer's his by birthright. It's not my place to take it. And that's when Odin was like, well then come on, we'll make you a new one. Let's just go and make you one that's just like it.
The one thing I didn't really care for was the little battle where like the troll champion.
The Sith part?
Yeah, where she like had to fight, and like it wasn't even a battle. She just manhandled that dude.
She is the goddess of victory.
Yeah, but I mean, like he walks in and he's like, oh, if I beat you, I get to have you as my wife, and she just basically puts one arm behind her back and that's pretty much it. She won.
Well, there were a couple, like, the whole backstory with Loki in there, I think I could have done without. Because they had some backstory with you had Lorelei and the Enchantress and Loki in the background, but they were setting the ground for Simonson had a really good run of doing that. He would have an A story running, and then he would have a B story in the background that would eventually become the A story, and then he would have another B story running, ready to become the A story. So it was just this continuous, okay, so this has happened, and then, oh wait, Loki and Enchantress have been planning this thing, and here's the big thing they've been planning, but in the meantime, in the background, you got this going on, and then after the Loki and Enchantress thing, it's like, oh, the thing in the background's now the big thing. So you had this, he had a lot of continuity in his stories, and which is why a lot of people think his run on Thor is probably the best one, because like,
yeah, I've heard a lot about that.
His run is, so this is one graphic novel, and it comes in a set of 5. For his complete set. And the next set that I'm going to get is, and something else I think that you and I should probably read, is Future Imperfect with the Hulk, which is one of Peter David's runs on the Hulk. Because apparently everybody says that Peter David had the best run on the Hulk.
Oh, I'm really big on any kind of like post-apocalyptic dystopian.
Future Imperfect, you'll love it.
Yeah. That was when he was like the maestro.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. That's one of those things that's always been like on my top 20 to read list, and it's just never made it to number 1.
I'll get it to you.
So
things that I have in my depository.
Yeah, very much looking forward to that. A lot of classic stories that we've yet to cover.
We should.
So
that's why we're here, to let the people, because it's safe to assume that the majority of our audience is probably younger than us.
Maybe.
Okay. So there's stories out there that they need to know about that they can check out. and of course, you know.
This story was before my time. Just because I didn't even.
Okay, look, I know I'm old, but you didn't have to rub it in.
Well, I was literally -6 when this started.
I was
and
12.
Even then, I didn't read comic books until.
Well, at -6, I would hope that you wouldn't. I mean.
Well, I didn't read comic books until '93. I was 9 years old, and my first comic was actually Venom Lethal Protector #1.
We've talked about that.
Yeah. So, but this story, it is slightly aged,
Of
but
course.
not so much. Like it, you know how you can go back to some of the old '60s books, and you're like, oh God, this is almost unreadable. But you know, it's like good
Nazis.
because like, there's history there, and there's like classic art and classic storylines that people still harken back to even today.
Right.
But overall, when you sit down and read it word for word, you're like, holy crap, I can't get through it. This is not like that. This was a page turner. It did have some kind of badly aged parts scattered about, but overall it was a really good book. So I enjoyed it. I'd say I give this about a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
That's readable. Anything from a 6 to an 8 is pleasantly readable.
So all I wanted was for you to give it a fair chance, and I appreciate you because I know that you were going into it dreading it. I appreciate you taking it up, and in return, I will attempt to read some Walking Dead.
Ooh.
So if you've got like a story arc in Walking Dead that you think I should read, let me know. I'll read it, and then we'll come back and discuss it. 'Cause
we ought to just like
we all know I'm not a huge Walking Dead fan.
We ought to like discuss it like a 10-issue block at a time or something.
Okay, I'm not reading the entire 500 issue series.
I think they're only issue 168 now.
Okay.
That comes out Wednesday. So
I mean, I did watch the TV series.
It's good.
Up until, spoilers, Tyrese died.
Yeah.
That episode, for whatever reason, for the entire episode, Tyrese was just babbling nonsense.
Hallucinations.
Yeah, and I watched that entire episode and I was just like, I'm done. I'm done. I can't follow this anymore.
Yeah.
And so that was the end of my run on The Walking Dead. So I watched it all the way up to there, and was quite pleased with it up until then.
All right. Well, I know this is probably one of your favorite like story arcs.
It is by far.
I enjoyed it. So, hey, mission accomplished.
All right. Yeah. Next to some Green Lantern stories, this is one of my favorites because if you go my two favorite heroes, it's going to be Hal Jordan Green Lantern, Beta Ray Bill.
Okay.
Because Hal Jordan was the first comic book I ever picked up, and this was probably the third.
Okay. So anyway, that's all for the comic book Malarkey covering the Ballad of Beta Ray Bill. We are going to cover kind of a preview of upcoming comic book movies here in a few days. So check that out and continue because comic book Malarkey is back and better than ever. So anyway, I am Lonnie.
I'm Mark.
And we are Untitled Nerd Network, brought to you by Infinity Flux in Hickson, Tennessee.
Right here.
And this has been Comic Book Malarkey.